Welcome, thanks for joining me. A Metropolitan special has been arranged, departing from London, and as good train enthusiasts of the late 1930s, we're heading off to try and see the train. Our journey starts on board two Southern Electric 2 BIL EMUs, numbers 2041 and 2114. One of the most significant EMUs in British railway history. Built between 1935 and 1938, these pioneering two-car units transformed long-distance electric railway travel across the southern region. On our way, we consider the history and technical details of the 152 strong 2 BIL fleet. The 2041 here was built on the 8th of December 1936, so she's nearly new for us. She would last until the 8th of February 1969. She was one of a batch of units numbered between 2011 and 2048, authorised for the Portsmouth electrification scheme. BIL of course means both, including lavatory, and indeed one can be found at the two inner ends of the coaches. The 2041 suffered slight damage by enemy action in 1944. These units were different from the original batch in that they had electro-pneumatic control gear. They were the first mainline EMUs with English Electric electro-pneumatic control, batches 2 to 4, enabling multiple unit working with up to 12 cars across different unit types. The motor bogie was fitted with two 275 horsepower motors. BIL 2114 was built on the 3rd of January 1938 and therefore is brand new and would last in service until the 21st of November 1970. 2114 was part of a third batch of 2 BILs authorised for the next stage of the Portsmouth electrification scheme. They were identical to the previous batch of 2 BILs. Now then, poor old 2114 suffered a lot more than 2041. Damaged by enemy action at Eastbourne on the 12th of August 1942, then damaged near Rains Park on the 19th of June 1944 by a flying bomb blast. Even after the war she suffered more damage in 1958 and ended up back at Lancing Carriage and Wagon Works for repair. They had a top speed of 75 miles an hour, but I'm sure there will be memories of faster. Unit 2090 as the only survivor from the 152 units built. Here's a picture I took of her at the Woking 150 celebrations. Information about 2 BILs and a lot more can be found at www.bloodandcustard.com, with grateful thanks. It has to be said that Hornby really did a lovely job on these models. The only real thing missing is working lights. Metropolitan locomotives. Now we have arrived to see the star of the show. The Met-Vick electric locomotives were built between 1922 and 1923 with a top speed of 65 miles an hour and weighing in at 61.5 tonnes. There were lots of models around as far back as the 1920s, but this video features my Heljan model from 2018. The accompanying audio in this section comes with kind permission of Alan5919 and his excellent video. There's a link here now, and there will be in this video's information box. Now, the coaches I've arranged are a close approximation to real Metropolitan coaching stock, both bogied and four-wheel. Back in 2013, Cheryl and I took my dad to the Blueborough Railway, where we had a ride in Metropolitan coach number 394. Seeing some photos from that wonderful day out now. The electric locos are summed up as long service and uneventful and reliable. The first generation electric locomotives built between 1904 and 1906 were no longer powerful enough. One type was a steeple cab affair and the other similar to the new locomotives. Reconstruction was considered but abandoned. The electrics were a way of replacing steam on the subsurface underground railway for obvious reasons. The locomotives were used for services between the city and developing suburbs of Metroland. Fitted with 4 300 horsepower electric motors, one for each axle, these were the most powerful locomotives ever to work on the London Underground, with their 1,200 horsepower. These locomotives were built at a time when most underground lines in London were either changing to already operating electric multiple units. For decades, the Metropolitans remained the only line using locomotive haulage. They were finally withdrawn in 1962. The Metropolitan Vickers locomotives were used on the Metropolitan Main Line from the city at Baker Street as far as Rickmansworth. This was the furthest point of electrification from 1925. For the final part of the journey to Buckinghamshire, a steam engine of the Metropolitan shed took over. The change of locomotive only took a few minutes. When the line was electrified to Amersham in 1962, the locomotives were withdrawn. In 1927, the locomotives were named after famous people associated with the area they served. Number 19 here was named John Wycliffe, and only lasted until 1948. Only 2 of the locomotives now remain, number 5 John Hampden and number 12 Sarah Siddons, which has been preserved in operational condition. After the Metropolitan Railway was absorbed into the London Passenger Transport Board in 1933, the London and North Eastern Railway took over responsibility for steam-hauled passenger trains north of Rickmansworth in 1937. They replaced the ex-Metropolitan G, H and K class engines with their own A5 and later L1 class locomotives. This was from 1940. Today's special is being worked by LNER A5 number 5024 by Sonic Models as a portent of what was to come. Now it's loco changeover time, as the LNER A5 number 5024 takes over the train for the rest of the journey. The A5s were very successful locomotives, which worked throughout their lives without any major rebuilding, modification or alteration. They were masters of heavy suburban trains and were known to be capable of quite high speeds, up to 70 miles an hour. Fairly soon, the A5 and its train is soon returning. Once arrived, it will give way to the electric locomotive number 19 for the trip back to London. Once we arrive back in London, we wait for a short time for our train home, which this time is a single 2-bill unit, number 2114 again. I hope you've enjoyed that little trip back in time. If you have, please consider clicking the like and subscribe buttons, as it really helps the channel grow. Cheers for now.